Welcome to Use Your Words podcast, where we believe in intelligently spoken conversations. So you know, and I will admit, like I said, I can talk, or not, yeah, or not. Welcome to another episode of Use Your Words podcast. A gloomy February afternoon as we record this down in Aaron's basement, where I can't tell you if there's sun or not outside, but we're going to have a conversation anyways. So once again, I'm joined by Aaron, Mr. Johnson himself, with a mouthful of food as he tries to talk.
Hello.
And again, my name is Paul Yarman, and we're going to have another interesting one, a couple weeks ago now, we had a conversation about around February 14th about, you know, this whole concept of, is there a cost to porn in that? And when we recorded that episode, I gave Aaron essentially two choices. One was that one, and one was the one we're going to have today. And surprisingly, Aaron wanted to talk about the other one. So, ta-da, you got that. You got the one about, does porn have a price around Valentine's Day? You know, such a lovey-dovey topic. Because nothing says love like, here, honey, I bought us couples porn.
Oh. Yum. Oh, no. That was a terrible word to say for that.
As I say,
I don't have a significant other, and so I can't have couples porn. So
I'm leaving that one alone. Seriously, wow. And derailed. Anyways, so yes, it's still early 2021, and already life seems to be going a little bit crazy. I don't know if you've read the news at all today, Mr. Johnson. Two things hit the news today at the same time, which contradict one another, and I don't know which one to believe. One study by Johns Hopkins says, we should have herd immunity by April of this year. So about a month away or so from here. Another one is from Dr. Fauci saying, expect to wear masks until 2022 at least.
Nope.
And I'm like, interesting. Great.
What's this supposedly about South Dakota already having herd immunity?
I don't know. I didn't read about that one, but it wouldn't surprise me because South Dakota has been very much this whole concept of no one needs to wear a mask. And so essentially they built up their own natural herd immunity, which we were told early on in the pandemic, you can't do that because that doesn't work. But now we're being told we need herd immunity. But regardless, there's probably some fine detail in there that is not being exposed, where they're saying herd immunity via the vaccine is more efficient than herd immunity via getting it naturally. Don't know. We're just going to have to continue following along with what's going on, and there's a lot going on. But that being said, COVID has been ravaging this nation now, the United States, the divided states of America, for about the past year or so at this point. I started kind of following along with this mystery disease out of China last January. And then February, you kind of started hearing about it spreading. March, we started having the first confirmed cases, and then in March it was, we are going on full lockdown. Everybody, 15 days to slow the spread. And here we are a year later.
Still apparently trying to do the same thing.
But that's okay. Life changes. I don't think anyone bought or really believed that 15 days to slow the spread was actually going to happen, and that it was going to be one of those things that we took it day by day, week by week, month by month, in which we have been doing.
No, year by year.
You know what? According to Fauci, yes. So, we'll have to see. There's various pieces of science out there, and we need to believe all of it. We need to believe all the science.
Yeah.
And we need to trust all of it.
Yep.
But trusting the science should not be an excuse for killing grandmas. Which one of the excuses that they're using over in New York nowadays.
Right.
So for those of you unaware, New York, Cuomo over there, not to be confused with CNN host Cuomo. Which is his brother.
Yes, the brothers.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a second about the brothers, because there's been a little forcible rift there. Forced rift. So So if you're not aware, last March, Cuomo, when this whole COVID thing was really starting to pick up steam, they enacted a measure which told nursing homes that they were forced to admit patients who tested positive for COVID-19. Some nursing homes were trying to do the whole thing of like, hey, we don't want to admit patients who have COVID-19 because, it's going to spread. Old people, they're immunocompromised. They're already like on 5,000 medications. A little flu can kill grandma. Can you imagine COVID-19? Type of deal. And nursing homes were like, don't make us take these. Oh, wait. Well, nope, we're being forced to take them. Okay, so sweet. We're being forced to take COVID-19 people. Sweet. So they were forced to do that. And that directive was actually eventually reversed in, I believe it was June or July of last year. Eventually, they were like, oh, wait, nope, we shouldn't be admitting COVID-19 positive people to the nursing homes. And so they're like, oh, just stop. And they stopped. Mm-hmm. And now, there's a lot of pressure about the whole thing, and people going, oh, we need to, take a step back on this whole thing. And it turns out that the Cuomo administration underreported nursing home COVID deaths by up to 50%.
Underreported by 50?
Up to 50%.
Wow.
So up to 50% more people died in nursing homes than reported originally by the Cuomo administration. This was released by the New York Attorney General. This was released as a 76-page report that was done after a months-long investigation by the Attorney General's office. And they did this because there were allegations that nursing homes failed to follow COVID safety protocols. So they were investigating nursing homes for following COVID safety protocols, and as part of this investigation, they then found that the Cuomo administration had been underreporting nursing home deaths.
That's great for him, isn't it? Not really.
No, it's not. It's not great for anyone.
No.
And so, that comes out and people are like, wow, okay. That's weird. Well, then there was an aide to Cuomo who was kind of caught on a phone call telling Democratic representatives they had to hold these numbers back because they were fearing being investigated by the Trump administration. I know you're laughing, but it falls down that whole political trope. When the conservatives got in power and things were going wrong, they said blame Obama. When Democrats got in power now, it's blame Trump.
Blame Trump.
And when conservatives get in power again or whoever, they're going to go blame Biden. You're just blaming the previous administration. But they're blaming, they were actually fearful that they were going to be investigated by the Department of Health and Human Services for the number of deaths in nursing homes. So they withheld that data. And so they wouldn't get investigated.
Isn't that a crime of some sort?
I'm sure it could be. And there's calls for investigations. Now, the beautiful thing about this, and I never thought I would say this, there are calls for investigation into Cuomo from both Democrats and Republicans.
On both sides.
This is probably the first bipartisan resolution of 2021. I think we should celebrate. We should throw a party and say, this is the first time Democrats and Republicans have agreed on one thing. Cuomo is a dirty rat and must be removed. Like, there are people calling for he doesn't resign, they're saying he should be pulled from office over this. Mm-hmm. And you're like, 50%, that sounds like a big number. I know it sounds like a big number, okay? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface it with this. One is too many, okay? One death due to COVID, right? So when you take into account all this, that is about 8,700 more people added to the death toll in nursing homes.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. That is a lot of people. So I think that brings the total up to somewhere like 15,000, 16,000 total is the number of people that have died in nursing homes due to COVID.
And that's just nursing homes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because here's what Cuomo was doing. This was sneaky on his part. And I get it. And as someone who used to work in the long-term healthcare industry, I know the games that they play at the long-term healthcare industries. I can tell you a lot of them. I cannot say them on air because I could probably get into legal trouble if I said some of them, some of the things I know that they did. But one of the things that they would do is if they want to keep their death count low, before a person would die, that they would ship them off to the hospital. Because then they would die in the hospital. Not in the nursing home. But technically, that death should be counted as a nursing home death because they were being treated in the hospital from the nursing home.
Yeah.
Well, that's what these hospitals were doing, and Cuomo took advantage of that, essentially, and said, oh, these people die in the hospital, not the nursing home, so therefore hospital death, not nursing home death, when in reality it should be nursing home death. Now, now obviously that's going to be potentially different from state to state. You know, not every state is the same, just happens to be in their state in New York, is if they are a nursing home resident who goes to the hospital and dies at the hospital, it's still counted as a nursing home death. And that's not how they were counting them. Tricky. See how it's easy to manipulate the numbers, really?
Yeah, that's good at it.
Yeah.
Sick.
No, I get it 100%. It's just like, can't believe that's happening, right? And the you know how they found this data that this was happening? They surveyed about 62 nursing homes, or about 10% of the nursing homes in the state. And that's how they found the discrepancy.
Oh.
So this preliminary, and I say it's preliminary because this report's still kind of ongoing on some things, but they're saying up to 50% underreported deaths in nursing homes in New York alone. I can't even imagine what it is in other states then too. And you know, it's, I hate to say funny, okay? Because
yeah, that's your thing.
I know. So we, you know, because people knew it was going to be bad in New York because people are living on top of one another.
Oh, I mean, it's a huge city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened last year? What did people,
Oh, gosh.
what was sent to New York to try to help things?
You're asking me to remember stuff from so long ago. What was sent?
Yeah.
They've had a few things sent to them.
Well,
I know at one point they had. Well, granted, that at one point there was. This would have been more recent, but it was obviously the vaccination stuff.
Well, I'm thinking early days of COVID.
I see. Yeah, early days of COVID. Wasn't medical attention of some sort?
Well,
I don't know
remember
exactly
they sent the U.S. Naval Hospital Comfort.
Yes.
It was 1,000-bed hospital.
Yes.
On the water. Okay. That was sent to alleviate the potential strain of all that was going on in New York. So that way, you know, COVID positive patients really didn't need to go back to nursing homes. Because what happened is when this was happening, you know, March was coming along and, you know, all these older people were getting COVID, you know, were being sent to hospitals with COVID. And then Cuomo goes, well, we need the hospital beds for other COVID patients, so we're going to ship them back to the nursing homes. That's why you're being forced to take them. So instead of sending them to somewhere like the ship,
yeah,
where it was $1,000-bed hospital, they were sent back to nursing homes with other old people.
So they could all get it and die.
Okay. How many beds? I already told you, there's 1,000 beds on the ship, right?
Yeah.
How many people were sent to this 1,000-bed hospital?
Oh, probably not enough to fill the 1,000.
Good job, Sherlock Holmes. I'm glad you could pick up on that and make that quick inference, but how many?
I guess I'll say 50%, so 500.
No.
How over am I?
Ooh, way over.
Let's do 15%. So 150.
You're still over.
100 beds?
You're still over.
25 beds?
You're still over.
0?
No.
Oh, 5?
So there were 20 COVID patients.
Oh my god.
That being said, there were a total of 77 patients. About 57 of those were other things other than COVID, really. So out of a 1,000-bed hospital, they saw a total of 77.
And
20 of that was like COVID. Okay?
wow.
So there's that happened, right?
Yeah.
That could have helped alleviate the bed supply in the hospitals right there. What other hospital went there and was chased out?
What other hospital went there?
Mm-hmm.
Went to New York.
Samaritan's Purse.
Some Samaritan's Purse.
They deployed an emergency field hospital in New York City to alleviate, bed shortages in the New York hospitals. But they were told they had to leave. Like they were setting up field nurses on, not nurses, field hospitals on their own dime. They're bringing in doctors, nurses, medical personnel to care for whatever, they needed. So that way, if they wanted the COVID patients only in the hospital, then they would take, Aaron fractured his leg and needs to spend a week with his leg in the air in a brace. They could take care of you there. Mm-hmm. But they were chased out in New York because Samaritan's Purse doesn't believe in gay marriage, so therefore they are a hateful organization. Therefore, they cannot help those people in need in New York.
That's why.
That's why. In other words, Samaritan's Purse got canceled by the city of New York for having an opinion differing of those of the majority of the people there.
See, at what point do you put how could you put that over, people's livelihood?
I mean, we look around at cancel culture all around us, and we see that all the time. We see people putting the needs and wants of their opinions above the needs and the health of everyone else because my feelings.
Yeah.
My feelings get hurt, therefore I get hurt, therefore you die.
Quite literally. So Cuomo had to be the one to send him home, right? Or reject their help?
Yeah. So, they were there for a little while. They had a 68-bed field hospital, right? They treated more people than the ship. I'll give them that at least. They treated over 300 COVID-19 patients at their hospital.
Wow.
Okay. So, you know what the salt on top of the wound is on this one? After they were told to leave because of their statement of faith, Cuomo sent them a tax bill.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh. So not only did they try to help, they had to pay for it. Oh, I don't like this guy. I don't think I like this guy too much. Gosh. And I wonder though, because a year ago, I wasn't really paying attention to anything.
Gee, you don't say.
Yeah, you don't say. Surprise, surprise. But was there any outrage about that then? About them being turned away? Like the help being turned away?
There wasn't as much, I think, as there is now, especially now that it's coming out that, hey, these older people not necessarily didn't have to get sick and or die from COVID because people who were infected could have been sent elsewhere.
Somewhere else.
Instead of being forced to come back to the nursing home, even though they had COVID.
Now, as far as I thought gosh, I hate in the sense, what is this called, pulling a brewer, where it's I thought I'd heard something about even just the workers at nursing homes, would they, if they were sick, were they still allowed to work?
Yes. Okay. So especially in the earlier days of the pandemic, workers who were COVID positive were still allowed
to go back to work.
Now, that was in the earlier days. I think as it went on later on,
Probably
they were told,
stopped that.
stay home, don't come in,
Yeah.
type of deal. But especially in the early days, and their defense for that was we had the personal protection in place to be able to protect the patients from it, which there's varying studies of the effectiveness of the various pieces of PPE. But regardless of the fact, the number one thing we all know, and it's common sense, if you're sick, stay away.
Right.
Even if you have the common cold, the common flu,
Just stay home.
My work, when I worked at, for the other previous company, they were like, just stay home. Don't bother coming in, work from home, obviously.
Well, thankfully you can do that.
Yeah, I could do that. But like I was a nurse, you couldn't do that, right? But they're like, don't bring that illness in and spread it because you're in close contact with everyone else. Mm-hmm. And we already know COVID is a lot more contagious than the common flu. So, and especially these new variants that are coming around from various countries, they're even more virulent, more contagious.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes, I guess.
Well, that's probably why we're going to have to wear masks till 2022. But you have all that going on, and it's like, oh, that's just a kick. Now, that being said, remember, like back in the early days, you had all these staff, like maybe if there was an area that wasn't hit hard by COVID yet, they were flying to New York to help them with COVID. Remember that? Like, I'm a nurse. I'm going to New York to help with COVID. Well, anyone that works in New York for 14 days or more has to pay New York income taxes. It's just like a kick, right when you don't need it the most.
Right.
It's like, really? You're doing this to us? And they go, and Cuomo goes, well, we're not in a position to provide subsidies right now because we have a $13 billion deficit. Because essentially, when you shut down the economy, you're not making money. Surprise, surprise.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Surprise, surprise, right?
Didn't know that.
So, so Samaritan's Purse got essentially kicked out after some controversy there. I know that the ship wasn't used. You're talking beds that could have been used 100% to subsidize the existing infrastructure to allow it to be better and allow it to work with, less problems. People didn't have to go back.
New York didn't have to, wasn't being asked to pay for this stuff, was it? For like the ship with the 1,000 beds and like,
I don't
they didn't
think
have
so.
to pay anything for that, did they?
No. Trump just sent the ship.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're going to supplement, your hospital capacity because we know. Now, and you go, 1,000 beds isn't that much, but.
No, it's not.
But when you only use a max of 77.
That's an insult.
It's like, we could have at least filled that up before resorting to sending Granny back to the nursing home where she killed her bingo partners.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you talk about a mass murder going on, and that's what was happening. And it wasn't the old people's fault. They were sick and being sent back.
Yeah.
And nursing homes, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not. Nursing homes are one of the most prevalent places for STDs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not like these old people aren't getting around and socializing at all. They're doing stuff.
They're hanging out.
They're hanging out. So to say that, a thing that spreads like the flu and maybe a little bit more powerful than the flu won't be a problem in a nursing home. No. Yeah. That makes no sense whatsoever. If all that's happening, then that COVID's definitely gonna get around. Yeah.
I don't know. You can't speak for all the people in the nursing home, but it's like, I don't know. I guess.
What?
I guess I'm curious as to how many, like, have the mentality of like they're like, since they're at the age that they are, just do whatever they want and have fun now because they don't have much longer to go anyways. Like, I wonder how many of them have that mentality with it and don't necessarily care about getting sick.
Yeah,
and all that?
that'd be interesting questions because I know like my mother, who I call Mother Dearest.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? I'm old enough. I don't care. She's like, the only reason I'm getting the vaccine is because I won't get it as severe. That's the only reason. She's like, I know it's not going to prevent it, and the various vaccines are various effectiveness on preventing it, blah, blah, blah. But all of them are very effective at preventing it from being as serious,
Right.
which is essentially what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Get the sniffles versus end up on a respirator. Okay, that's a big difference,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
And that is just as it comes along with like the older folk. It just does. It seems to be quite the trend. Is like it's like, oh well, we don't care anymore, kind of thing, and there's just a lot more careless about what they do because it's like, well, what else? Like, I don't know. It's not like they have much more to do, I guess. Really, which sounds really sad to put it that way, but because I mean, I don't know. Gosh, now I'm thinking about my parents.
what are you thinking about?
Like, I guess their whole mentality.
Oh, okay.
The whole, like, granted, they're not in the nursing home, and I hope they never do go to one. I'll always be here to take care of them, I suppose. Hopefully. You never know. But it's like, they're not concerned about the whole COVID stuff, I guess. They're like, well, if we get it and we die, then it's whatever at this point. They don't really have that care anymore. Or they don't have that fear in them of COVID and getting it and dying. Because it's like, well, I guess to them, it's like, we know where we're going kind of thing. Yeah. So it's like, I guess I wonder how many people just have that mentality of not caring in the nursing home.
Yeah, that'd be a good question.
Because, I mean, if there's, like, all the STDs and stuff going around like that, it's like, well, clearly they don't care if they're getting that.
And of course, we can't go into a nursing home to ask anyone because unless you're family and have a special reason to go, you're pretty much barred from visiting a nursing home right now.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't even bring a smile to the little old lady who's like, I haven't seen my family in a year and a half, and my husband just died. Yeah. You can't go bring a smile to her face anymore.
So stupid.
So, we talked about those two temporary hospitals, right? Mm-hmm. There were more temporary hospitals in the city of New York. The Javits Center.
That's the name.
So it was set up to be like a 2,900 bed facility. They'd never admitted more than 500 patients to that entire place.
It doesn't make sense.
And there were other temporary hospitals set up as well that largely sat empty as well. Again, places where people could go, but the hospitals, either due to, like they said with the Javits Center, it was pretty much impossible to get a transfer accepted there.
To get a oh, okay.
So, like, politics just got in the way of people being able to use the beds there.
Why is politics such a big thing?
Because politics are politics, and politics suck.
But yet they have so much control.
Oh, yeah.
On stuff.
So you have all this going on, and it's just like, this is why COVID is ravaging the country just left and right, and New York's going like, yeah, we have these hospital beds we're not going to use. It's like, wait, why? And the Mercy ship, eventually just left, and
well, what else do you do? I guess. Well, don't want to stay too long because you don't want to get a bigger bill from Cuomo for being there.
Yeah, and they do say so. They're that is all happening, right? Mm-hmm. So the New York Health Chief Zucker said allowing residents to return to nursing homes, even if COVID positive. That part I added in, even if COVID positive was part I added in, helped protect the state's healthcare system from collapsing at the time. When you have this many open beds. Now, there's probably something the healthcare workers are going to go, but you don't understand this component. Maybe that's true. Mm-hmm. But it is bad optics at the same time that you have so many empty beds. And if you go, well, not all of them can support a respirator. Then put all your broken leg people in the non-respirator beds, aka the Javits Center, the SHIP, the field hospital from Samaritan's the whatever, and keep all your COVID positive patients only in the hospital. But I don't care what your butt is. I understand that there's a limit, especially near the beginning. There was like a limit on respirators and that.
Yeah,
I get that, and but you can't just keep saying, "Oh, it's like, no, put all your non-COVIDs over here. Your COVID's here. You're good to go." But it's not that. I know it's not that simple. I know there's more to it. I know things have to be different. But you can't tell me you couldn't have found a way to use all those empty beds.
right. Yeah, just letting them, wasting them essentially.
I'm between the center and the ship, right? You're talking close to 3,400 empty beds just between those two temporary hospitals.
See, I wonder about. Granted, I have no knowledge of the respirator stuff, but I mean, because for our company, we were making something for the respirators, like a strap,
A Velcro strap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would anticipate you were making that and not the motor.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, not making a motor.
Exactly.
But I guess I'm curious as to. I mean, I'm sure. Obviously, wow. Whenever I say like S words or like the sure thing,
Yeah, I know.
always get like a super harsh note in there, and I hate it. Anyway,
Everyone does.
but I feel like my answer just so much worse. I don't know.
Anyways.
Like I don't know how many other companies were making this respirator thing, because we were just doing a very small part, and our part probably wasn't really that necessary. As for I don't know how necessary our part was in making a strap and what the strap did, whatever. But we were supposed to make like a couple 100,000 for them.
Yeah.
I only ended up doing probably like 30 to maybe 40.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious. I'm curious as to what stopped that from continuing farther.
I think some of it is as the virus kind of has been around longer, we learned more therapeutics to help relieve some of the stuff. We learned, hey, we can use this, and this, and then that's going to prevent a person from being on a respirator. So it's not like, hey, we're out of respirators. We're using like all 50,000 that we have or whatever. Some of that probably was happening as well as the whole concept also of, hey, the ones who got it early on were probably the ones who were more, and I'm in that category, would be susceptible to the worst consequences of it. Ones whose health isn't the best necessarily, ones who aren't exactly, the most fit in that, who has what they call comorbidities. Those are the ones probably catching it first and the earliest. And if you're catching it first and earliest like that, you're the ones who's going to need the respirator. Well, guess what? When little 20-year-old Timmy catches it and is fit as a horse and is like, whatever. And it's like, I coughed a little. They're not going to need it, but they got sick. You're still going to have people. I'm not downplaying it. You're still going to have people who are going to get sick and going to still need respirators to this time. Yes, guaranteed. And it's great that we have that capability. But as we have learned from this disease, it is not 100% new to us anymore. We've learned, hey, we do these therapeutics, we might be able to help them out a little bit better to keep them from getting down that route. And then maybe you only need 10% of those people who would normally need a ventilator in the past needing a ventilator now. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, no. It does. I don't know.
So I just find it interesting, all this is going on over in New York. And like I said, New York's, I almost said New York's and Democrats.
The New York's and Democrats.
Republicans and Democrats are both on the same page of saying, hey, we need to investigate Cuomo.
Yeah.
And then CNN kind of came in, and I love this headline I saw yesterday. I wish I would have grabbed it, the article. But it was like, no more happy, feel-good times between the Cuomos on CNN. Because what was happening during this whole pandemic is CNN Cuomo would interview brother Cuomo.
Cuomo.
And it was like, I think on one of them they were asking like
Wasn't it just personal life stuff?
Oh yeah. So Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, the politician,
Yes, governor guy.
He, I don't know if he like got divorced or widowed or something, but
Yeah.
in one of the CNN things, he's like, well, I'm single and ready to mingle. And so his brother from CNN was giving him advice on how to get out there and date again. And it was like, and had like a big giant Q-tip prop and all this other stuff. And just like, what the heck is going on?
Do that in your personal time.
Well, he was trying to be funny with it and I forget exactly what the context was, but he's using a big giant. It was like, oh wow, this is what they consider news on CNN. Wow, no wonder why people think it's a joke. Don't forget, this is also the same Chris Cuomo who Chris Cuomo is the CNN reporter.
Yeah.
He's the one who said that he had COVID and that he hadn't left his basement. They made like this big old video production of him coming out of his basement for the first time in months type deal. And then afterwards, a guy on a bike, said, hey, a few weeks ago, he yelled at me while he was out viewing property out and about town without a mask.
Oh, wait, so he wasn't down hidden under.
And so there was this whole big controversy of him going, oh, I've only been here, but nope.
He's been out and about.
He's been out and about. And the guy was like, yeah, Chris Cuomo threatened to fight me, blah, 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 blah. Because, the guy recognized him. He's like, hey, you have COVID. Why are you around your family and your children and all these other people without masks out and about? It's like, you should be at least a mask and you should be quarantined in your house. And Cuomo got all upset about that. But so CNN has finally put the kibosh. Cuomo cannot interview Cuomo anymore on CNN.
What? I think that would be
You would have thought that would have been a standard to begin with journalism, because that would have been an impartiality thing.
Yeah.
You cannot, well, I could be impartial against my own family, but I'd probably be adversarial against my own family, let's be honest. But for the most part, most people are not going to be adversarial with their own family. They're not going to be willing to catch them in the lie, to ask them, hey, I think you're lying here, and say, well, what's the reality here? And all these other things, and just gloss over any little fact that isn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that they finally said, you can't just interview your brother anymore. And especially after this controversy came out, they're like, we don't want you touching that with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. We do not want to be a part of this.
No, which is, good on their part.
Finally.
For doing that. Yeah, because, you would think that's just common sense, but.
You would think. But no.
I don't know. I mean, I get having. I guess part of me gets that you can do that. It's like a fun little thing, or whatever. But
so
best not to.
So it's funny, to see all this happening, and people are saying, you know what, Cuomo should go to jail. Mm-hmm. I think there's a case to be made for that. Okay, but like all things, there should be due investigation. He does deserve his day in court to present the evidence, to present his side of the story, to present his thing, and he deserves to have a trial in front of his peers, whether I like it or not, whether I may disagree with him or not. That is still his right.
It is, yes, 100%.
So people are going, you know what? He should go to jail, and he could take his Emmy with him. Because did you know he got an Emmy
for handling the COVID so well?
Well, here's what they said when they gave him his Emmy. Okay.
Yeah.
The governors, and this is at the time of the Emmy, so there might have been more than 111 at this time. Okay. At the current, but at the time when this Emmy was given out, said this: the governor's 111 daily briefings worked so well because he effectively created television shows with characters, plot lines, and stories of success and failures. The Academy's president and CEO, Bruce Paisner, explained in a statement announcing the decision, people around the world tuned in to find out what was going on, and New York Tough became a symbol of the determination to fight back. So in other words, they're like, he essentially created a TV show based on his Daily Briefing, so he gets an Emmy for his acting in it.
That's what it is. It's just all an act.
So he received the Founders Award. That's the Emmy specifically that he received. It recognizes an individual or group that crosses cultural boundaries to touch our common humanity. It was created in 1980, and it's gone to another politician as well, former Vice President Al Gore, who won the prize in 2007. But at least he wasn't in office at that point in time. So, it's like, he also took the time in all this COVID-ness. So I don't know about you. Like me, I've had a lot of free time, more or less, because of COVID. Because, oh, that's a lie. I don't have more free time. I still have enough. Exactly. But a lot of people have a lot more free time due to COVID because they're not traveling as much and, stuff like that, right? You would think a politician, especially a governor, would be crazy busy with all this.
You'd think so.
But he found time to write a book.
Yeah, that's right.
He wrote a book on the lessons learned about managing a pandemic.
Which it's still not done, but says how soon did he write that after it started? That's a good pop.
I'm not sure on this one.
So depending on how soon that one was done, I was like, you learned a lot in a little time, supposedly, but.
So he's written, so it's called American Crisis: Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic. It is released.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it was released in October.
Okay.
It was published October 13th.
I wonder when he started it.
Well, okay. If the lockdown started in March.
Uh-huh.
So let's say he knew about it in February. So let's say March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
Yeah. I mean,
That's 8 months, about.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, how long did it take?
Do you know how many pages it is?
That's going to be my next question.
300. It's quite a beefy book.
That's more pages than I've ever liked to read in a book.
That's probably more pages than you've ever read in your entire life.
No, it's not true. I've read bigger books.
Really?
But because I kind of had to for school. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was it, the ABCs? I'm kidding.
Maybe. It was the dictionary.
Oh, the dictionary. Okay.
I don't know. Gosh. I don't know. I don't. The whole situation I don't like. It's just the fact that the biggest thing is him misrepresenting the numbers is the most frustrating part to me. And I guess what we have someone from church, their parent of theirs passed away in one of the nursing homes in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So it's just like, that's sad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you don't want to necessarily politicize deaths like that, but at the same time, when it's a policy that is forced like that to do it, it's like, no. And you got to admit, Cuomo does not help himself at all when he talks. Oh. If you haven't heard this, yes, it is out of context. No, it is not edited, but I think you do need to hear this.
But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died. And I dealt with the loss of my father. The pain is so incredible and inexplicable. And why?
Because you put old people in the nursing home with COVID. That's why. He should get an Emmy just for that. I feel like giving him a standing ovation just now. Just be like, bravo, good sir. Your acting is great.
That's see, I don't know. That's what almost like makes me well, okay, granted, yes, he's do his own trial and stuff like that. If they were to try and put him into jail for this.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I guess I just wonder how much money does he have? And it's like, I guess what advantages does he have where he could help himself? I guess get past it. And then I guess I don't know.
Here's how you get past it. Here's how he gets past it.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out. He doesn't blame the fact that they're trying to hide the numbers from the Trump administration because they might have been under investigation. He doesn't blame his office like he already has done. Like he has blamed his office for the mishandling of numbers and that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do that. He doesn't lay the blame at anyone else's feet except he goes, you know what? This happened under my watch.
Mm-hmm.
I am to blame for this, and I am sorry.
Essentially, yeah.
I cannot bring those people back that died like this. However, I can learn from this mistake.
Right.
You don't get over something by passing the buck onto someone else. You get over and you get through a crisis by learning and owning up to it.
You can write more about a book. You can write another book.
Yeah. You can go lessons learned since COVID.
Yeah, round 2.
Yep. Gina Carano, when she got canceled from Disney Plus, it's not like she went, "Oh, please forgive me and please let me back into the good graces of Disney Plus." Mm-hmm. She goes, "No, this are my beliefs. I never meant to harm anyone." With the whole beep boop bop thing. Yeah. She's like, "I never meant to. I never even understood what that meant. Now I understand. So not trying to hurt anyone, and that's on me, and I'm going to grow from it." But instead, she said the wrong thing, and she has the wrong opinion, so therefore she must be destroyed,
Yeah.
But, Cuomo, like I said, just cannot stop from hurting himself.
No. Well, there's I can't remember, I don't know his name, but there's one guy came out saying that, like, Cuomo was, like, threatened him.
Yes. So that was Assemblyman Ron Kim. He was threatened by Cuomo during a phone call. Mm-hmm. And he said that Cuomo threatened to destroy him unless he helped him cover up the COVID-19 nursing home death data. And you know what? It's not good. And this is reported by the Daily Mail over in UK. Again, green check marks across the board from NewsGuard. Okay. It's not good when Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York, says, "That's classic Andrew Cuomo," in response to Cuomo threatening this person.
Oh my gosh, classic. This
and of course, Cuomo and his aides are saying no. Whatever, Ron Kim is lying, blah blah blah. So it's back and forth, but it doesn't help when Bill de Blasio comes out and says, "Oh, that's classic him." That's exactly like he said. His exact quote is this: "It's a sad thing to say, but that's classic Andrew Cuomo."
That in and of itself should be enough to be like, "Oh."
Well, here's the other thing he said.
Got him.
He again, this is from de Blasio. He says, "A lot of people in New York State have received these phone calls. The bullying is nothing new."
Yeah.
He said that he 100% believes Kim.
Yeah. So, I guess what other evidence or proof do you need?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's a he said, she said, or in this case, he said type deal. And again, still gets the day in court, still gets to the jury appears, but it doesn't look good. And Ron Kim wasn't happy because he had some family that died in the nursing home thing as well. So that's why he was speaking up against it, and he was all upset about it. And then told, "Nope, you gotta have to
lie about it.
You got to, well, not necessarily lie. You have to help me cover it up." Lying is such a unique word. No politician will ever say lie. No. They will say massage the data. Then you need to help us make it look better. You need to help us with the optics. You need to help us with this. But you're never going to say lie.
Which I would still consider a lie.
I know, but you got to remember how politicians think. Politicians think completely differently. So this is, stuff that's happening in the background right now, and it's interesting to watch as it literally comes down to a he said thing. But again, when you have de Blasio come out and say, yeah, this is kind of his MO, it's like, oh, that doesn't help me at all. No. That's like kicking me while I'm down. Thanks, de Blasio.
Thank you. No, really though, thank you.
No, thank you for us, the rest of the world. It's thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
People are just like, oh, what are we gonna do now? Yeah, you know,
Get rid of them.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even live in New York.
I'm
But I want people
I'm
to-
glad that there is some repercussion coming to this.
Yeah.
There's some attention to it. It's not just kind of being slid under the rug, so to speak. That we are getting some responsibility, hopefully, out of this. You know, there are multiple people, like I said, calling for that investigation, and hopefully that investigation does come.
Right. I wish there was like a way where we could like, I guess, hold people in power more accountable for stuff.
Right. So unfortunately, right now, there really isn't a way to, quote unquote, hold them responsible other than voting them out.
Right.
Which then gets into that whole conversation of, you know, are you an uninformed voter? Do you just vote for something because it has a D or an R behind its name? Well, you know, who was it? I think it was Pelosi who said AOC could have gotten oh, no, that's what she said. In the district where AOC got elected, they're like, Pelosi was like, you could have put a glass of water on the ballot with a D behind it and it would have been elected in that district. In other words, what she's saying is they'll just vote for any Democrat regardless of who they are. They don't even care. They'll just say Democrat and vote for them. And people wonder why we have this more and more split, divided country that we have. And it's because anytime, like, it's entertaining, I should say. Yeah, entertaining. Watching some of these press conferences where Cuomo is in them and he's being asked about, you know, the grandparent death thing. And he's like, why are you politicizing it? Why are you making it political? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And then he turns around and makes everything else political. And it's just like, do you not see the irony here, sir?
Yeah. Why did you turn down help from the Trump administration?
And that's my question. This is how you know when someone is being hypocritical on something. Did you take, when you receive something, if it said from Trump, would you not take it or take it? And then if it said from Biden, would you take it or not take it?
Mm-hmm.
If it's the same thing and the change of name changes if you would or wouldn't take it, you're being political with something.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot be political with people's lives. Being political with people's lives, grandmas, grandparents, young kids, middle age, doesn't matter the age range. If you're being political with people's lives because you're going, well, the vaccine was, and this is a whole other conversation. This is something that's going on right now. You know, back, you know, during the election time, people are going, well, and Kamala is one of the people going, well, if Donald Trump creates the vaccine, I won't take it.
Yep.
And now her and Joe are like, well, why aren't people and minorities taking the vaccine? Well, maybe because you said last year if Donald Trump developed the vaccine, you wouldn't take it. But yet it was developed underneath Donald Trump's presidency, but now because it's under yours, it's fine to take it? What?
Yeah. Which I did find with all of that was the plan was to have a million vaccines like a day under the Trump administration,
Something like
and
that.
then now like Biden's like, oh yeah, we'll have 100 million was vaccines over the next 100 days, which is pretty much what the Trump administration had set up ready to go.
Yeah, but when you look at it that way, the optics of it, again, low information voter type,
Yeah.
100 million is better than a million.
Oh, than a million.
Therefore, Biden's better.
Right. Even though it's
Because
no
they
different.
forget to denote the over 100 days versus the million a day.
over a day. Yeah.
And they see 100 million. Biden is so much better.
Yeah. No.
Give me my psychotropic drug so I can stay misinformed. No, that's not that. It's not the psychotropic drugs. It's the give me everything else in the world, unfortunately. Which is interesting. I was just watching a Star Trek The Next Generation episode the other day. It's about two planets that their evolution was kind of similar along the lines until there was a plague that came along. And then they found that there's this one plant that could cure the plague, but it can only be grown on one of the two planets. And what they found, though, was that the plant was highly addictive. It was like a narcotic, essentially, right? And so the one plant where it was growing figured it out and said, hey, this is a narcotic. We can't help us. But they're like, hey, we can sell it to this other planet, tell them it's a cure, and they have to stay on the cure for the rest of their lives. So all they do on their planet is just grow this one little plant, and this other plant works and toils and gives them everything just so they can get their little fix.
Ugh.
And then, and I was sitting there watching, and I was like, oh, boy, that's the politicians.
Right.
They're over there saying, we're going to give you this little thing over here, but you need to work and toil and give us all your money and you need to give us your loyalty. You need to give us your religion. You need to give us your heart, your mind, and your soul. It now belongs to us. And in return, we will give you this little pittance of a thing called normal life.
Normal.
Yeah.
Quotes.
So, yeah, I'm glad Cuomo's being investigated.
Yeah.
The guy, honestly, as much as I am not a fan of his, I don't say this lightly, but I do wish that there are some consequences and some fallout from this hiding of the numbers and then getting so belligerent about, hey, there's an issue with these. So I hope he does pay a price. I don't wish him death. I don't wish him anything like that. I do wish he gets his jury via peers, trial via peers still. And then the results of that are the results of that, regardless. Just I want the evidence to be out there plain for people to see.
It'd just be nice to have the truth.
That'd be interesting. The truth from a politician. I don't know what world you're living in, sir.
I know. It's just a big dreamland.
Well, you know what? I would not mind visiting that dreamland with you.